Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Prachate Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum nandite girim yat kupatam Shri Guru Dita. Hare Krishna. So yesterday we saw this 15th verse. And Krishna told that I am in everyone's heart and give remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And also, I am the goal of Veda, I am the compiler of Veda, and I am the knower of Vedas. Now, in the next three verses, Krishna gives Krishna says that I am the knower of Vedas, he tells a summary or very brief summary of the Vedas, the purpose and what exactly Veda define. So, Dvau imau purusau loke.
Dvau imau purusau loke.
Sharaschakshara eva cha.
Sharaschakshara eva cha.
Kshara sarvani bhutani.
Kshara sarvani bhutani.
Kutasto akshara uchyate.
Kutastho akshara uchyate.
Okay, please chant.
Dvav imau purusau loke. Charaschakra eva cha. Charasa sarvani bhutani. Kutastho akshara uchyate.
Bhavimo purusau loke kshara eva cha kshara sarvani bhutani kutasto akshara chate.
Dvavimo purusho loke sharakshakshara eva cha shara sarvani bhutani kutasto kshara uchyate.
Okay, it's translation and purport. There are two classes of being, the fallible and the infallible. In the material world, every living entity is fallible, and in the spiritual world, every living entity is infallible. Purport. As already explained, the Lord in his incarnation as Vasudev compiled the Vedanta Sutra. Here the Lord is giving in summary the content of Vedanta Sutra. He says that living entities who are innumerable can be divided into two classes, fallible and infallible. The living entities are eternally separated part and parcels of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. When they are in contact with the material world, they are called Jiva Bhuta. The Sanskrit word given here is Kshara Sarvani Bhutani, mean that they are fallible. Those who are in oneness with the Supreme Personality of Godhead, however, are called infallible. Oneness does not mean that they have no individuality, but that there is no disunity. They are all agreeable to purpose of creation. Of course, in the spiritual world, there is no such thing as creation. But since the Supreme Personality of God, as stated in Vedanta Sutra, is the source of all emanation, that conception is explained. According to the statement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, there are two classes of living entities. The Vedas gives evidence of this. So there is no doubt about it. The living entities who are struggling in this world with mind and five senses have their material bodies which are changing. As long as living entities condition, his body changes due to contact with matter. Matter is changing, so the living entity appears to be changing. But in spiritual world, the body is not made of matter, therefore there is no change. In the material world, the living entity undergoes 6 changes: birth, growth, duration, reproduction, and then dwindling and vanishing. These are the changes of the material body. But in spiritual world, the body does not change. There is no old age, there is no birth, there is no death. They are all existing in oneness. Kshara Sarvani Bhutani, any living entity who has come in contact with matter, beginning from the first created being Brahma down to small ant is changing body. Therefore, they are all fallible. In the spiritual world, however, they are always liberated in oneness. So, this verse actually gives the origin of all living entities. So, in the material world, also in the spiritual world. The kutasto, actually the meaning is who are up and above, who are beyond, and whose form is or whose form is beyond the time, you can say. So that means the change is what? Change is actually time. So kutasto means the entities who are beyond the time. So they are eternal and their form is same. So there and the other entities who are in this material world. So like like we all jivas who are in contact with the material world, and those who are not in contact with the material world. These are the two. Akshara is Akshara means who is changing, or whose bodies are changing. Akshara means without any change, in another meaning. So Srila Prabhupada says fallible and infallible, because we are in this jiva condition state, we are bound to change with time, that we cannot control. So these are the two types of living beings. And Krishna uses the word bhutani, so the living entities. So the origin of both is Krishna, right? So what is the meaning of eternal? Eternal means a thing or a situation or a phenomena whose origin cannot be traced. That we call in our eternal. There may be origin, but we cannot trace it out. So the jivas who are existing in this material world and the spiritual world, both are eternal. So they may be eternally in this material world, but as they are parts of the God, they have ability, or they can go back to the spiritual form, where there is which is akshara, which is not changing. So here Krishna very clearly gives us two types that are existing, and he also specifies akshara means who are above these changes. So there are entities who are above these changes. It's not that only this material world is the only place. And in this, we are subjected to the action reaction karma. That's why we change the bodies. But beyond the time, there is no karma. So there is no change. There is no change of bodies. There is no misery. There is no disease. There is no deterioration of the body. So it's exactly opposite of what we are facing here. So these there are concepts like the soul, or when we die, everything is finished. That type of theories are also used. Like many people have this concept that the soul is in this body, so they accept the soul, but they say when the body dies, the soul also finishes. But here Krishna is not agreeing to that. He's saying that the soul undergoes the changes. So the changes includes the change of body also. So they will change the body and then they will continue, because they are my part. Krishna has told, right? So everybody is my part, or I am situated in everyone's heart. So they are eternal. Otherwise, it cannot happen that God dies. Right? If somebody dies, then he's not God. How can be he subject to that material condition? So the jiva go changes of body, and it has capacity if it surrenders to the Supreme Lord. Krishna has told in this chapter that if somebody surrenders, then I give him intelligence, how he can come back to me. That was the last verse also. That if somebody surrenders, I will tell him how to come back, how he can go back to me. So to me means the place where which is akshara, where there is no change. So this is in the first line also, Urdhva Moolam Adashakam. It is the reflection of the spiritual world. So whatever properties or characteristics that we face here, the exactly opposite are in the spiritual world. So Krishna, in the next two verses also, he will establish his identity or his superiority to these two, because these two we have to remember. Okay, Jiva and the eternal Jiva, Akshara and Akshara, two types. Those who undergo changes and those who don't undergo changes. So that covers the living being in this material world and the spiritual world. But there is something up and above all these jivas. So that Krishna will explain in the next verse. So we'll see that verse tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Any comments? Any additions, questions? The next verse is also very classic verse. Okay, we'll see that tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank
Hare
you.
Krishna, thank